It's that time of the month again for another portfolio update, but before we hop in, I just wanted to say thanks for stopping by. I truly appreciate each and every one of you, and it means so much to me that you take time to watch my content, and I hope that you're all having an amazing day wherever you may be. So if you are new, I share updates of this portfolio every single month, show you how some of the companies have been performing, but also share the dividend income that I've earned as well. And really my goal here is to give you complete transparency into investing, what it's like to invest, in hopes that it can inspire you to start your own investing journey as well, or at least some type of journey to achieve financial independence. I personally love investing, and I think it's a great way to make a little money so you can live the life that you truly deserve. It's definitely not easy, and you do have to play your cards right, but I just absolutely love it. So with that said, let's dive into some numbers here. So the current portfolio value is $46,168. The total return has been about $22,300. And from a time-weighted rate of return, that's going to put us up about 107%. Now, if we look at the past month specifically, the total return has been about $1,080 or about 2.4% if you're looking at percentages. And overall, that is a pretty decent month. We can see here that in early September, the market had a pretty decent spike, and then it was pretty stagnant all throughout September. But then towards the end, it spiked up once again into where we are today. And this is the last calendar year of the quarter, so I'm hoping we can close out the year pretty strong. But overall, September was a pretty decent month from a return perspective. Now, some of the sectors that performed the best in September, clearly healthcare and finance are leading the pack. So if we click into my healthcare holdings here, Eli Lilly is definitely leading the pack. They were up over 16% on the month, which is absolutely insane. And luckily for me, I have the most weight in Eli Lilly. So that essentially just means out of my healthcare companies, more of my money is allocated to Eli Lilly rather than something like Procter & Gamble, where you can see here I have about 15 or 16% allocation there. And since they performed the worst, it didn't have a massive impact overall, but some other companies that perform good, obviously AbbVie, over 8% there, and Johnson & Johnson, a little less, but still pretty good, about 5.5%. So really good for healthcare, and finance also performed very well. Most things were in that 5 to 7% range. BlackRock leading at 7.29%, and then Aflac and JP Morgan, about 5.5% for both of those. So not quite as good as healthcare, but still pretty good overall. Now, most other things were sort of in that 1 to 3% range, but when it comes to our lower performers, we got to start with consumer. Everything was pretty much in the red. Starting with Costco, where I have the most weight in this sector, they were down about 5.5%. Home Depot 7%, Colgate negative 9%. So a less than stellar month for our consumer companies, to say the least. And then telecom was down over 12%. So in here, I just have AT&T, and right before filming this video, I actually just sold off whatever I had. So this company will no longer be part of this portfolio, at least for the foreseeable future. I just haven't seen the type of growth that I wanted to see since I bought it. It used to pay a pretty good dividend, and I believe it still does, but dividend investing isn't the only metric that I look for as an investor. I'm honestly just looking for good quality companies that can increase their share price and increase their dividend payouts year after year. A lot of times you do see companies that sacrifice growth to pay out a dividend. And while that may seem good if you zoom in and look at that individual dividend payout, but when you start to compare the performance of that company over a long period of time to other things like the S&P 500 benchmark, for example, generally you find that just investing in the S&P 500 would have outperformed that company, and that definitely holds true here for AT&T. So I am offloading this company. But speaking of benchmarks, I did want to do a comparison here of my past month to an ETF. And the ETF that I like to compare my portfolio to is one from Vanguard. This is VTI. So this is an ETF that focuses on the entire stock market. So a lot of mid cap, small cap, and large cap companies. And clearly you can see that VTI is beating my portfolio. So VTI is this green line here, and we were pretty close to them in the start of the month, but then they drew some pretty good separation here. You can see about halfway through September, my portfolio was up about 1%, whereas VTI was up about 3.2%. And then it pretty much kept some of that separation going. And I think this is really good to see because as an investor, my goal is to not just make money, but my goal is to beat the average. And that's what a lot of other investors are trying to do as well. They're not just trying to make a little bit of money here and there. They are trying to beat the average. And the average is generally a benchmark like the S&P 500 or something like this VTI ETF. All right, so with that said, we are going to go ahead and check out the dividends now. Now, September closes out Q3. So generally for me, that's when I get the most dividend payouts. But we're going to start with Aflac at $16.26. Pretty good payout from them. They are one of my higher weighted finance companies and one that I've enjoyed holding for a while now. Johnson & Johnson is next at $7.34. And then we saw the stellar month from Eli Lilly. They brought in $2.77. Then oil and gas company ExxonMobil, they paid about $3.69. Following that was Microsoft. As most of you know, this is more of a high growth company, lower dividend yield, but they paid $2.25. Then we go into 3M, another company that I'm honestly considering selling off here. Much like AT&T, the growth just hasn't really been there, and I'm just not super optimistic about the growth prospects here, but they paid $1.93 in dividend payouts. Next is Realty Income Corporation, $6.40 from them, and these guys actually pay out monthly as they are a real estate investment trust, and those type of companies generally do pay out monthly. Electrical utility company Consolidated Edison, $1.23 from them. Then we have another real estate investment trust. This is Stag Industrial. They paid $2.68. And then one of the most well-known fast food chains in the entire world. It's amazing how McDonald's in other countries tastes better than the US for the most part. But McDonald's paid $3.56 this month. Home Depot is next, $4.92 from them. And then a Vanguard ETF, this is VYM. So these guys focus on some of the higher dividend yielding companies in the S&P 500, but they paid about $15 total here. And then very big financial company BlackRock, they paid $8.03. SPHD, this is another ETF. They focus on higher dividend companies in the S&P 500, but they paid about $8.99. Waste Management, $2.52 from them. Then we got a few payouts here from Brookfield Infrastructure Partners. The total comes to somewhere in the $6 range. And then to round everything off for the month, we got $7.66 from chip manufacturer Broadcom, another company that I've really loved having. I think with the boom of AI, they've just seen some massive growth, so that's really good to see. But when we total all the dividends up for this month, the total comes to $101.98. So I put that into the spreadsheet here, which by the way, I will link to in the description. So if you do want to make a copy of this and then input your own numbers, definitely feel free to do so. And like I said earlier, that's going to conclude quarter 3. So our total dividend payouts for Q3 was $262.64. So when I break that down into different time frames, just something I like to personally do, but we can see that I would be earning a yearly wage of about $1,050 or a daily wage of $2.88. So I do always say that this may not seem like a lot, and everyone's journey is different. So you may have a lot more, may have a little less, but I just like to see how it breaks down into these different time frames. But that's going to wrap up the video. Thanks again for taking the time to come and check this out. I really do appreciate each and every one of you. If you did enjoy the video, hit that like button. And if you want more content from me, I would encourage you to hit that subscribe button as well. Thanks again, and until next time, take care.